If you open Instagram, there are more than 800,000 posts with the hashtag old money. So it's pretty obvious that this has been a huge trend in the last year. And with every trend, there's going to be some bad imitations and of course a lot of bad advice. And that's why in today's video, we're going over the most common mistakes that I see on social media in regards to old money style. And at the end of the video, I'm giving some really great examples of the old money look. But first, let's open Pinterest and take a look at what we can find. So we don't even have to look far. We just have to type in old money style man and we can already see the first examples. So let's start with one of the most obvious ones first, and that's the very deep shirt. For me personally, one of the biggest issues that I see with the old money style outfits online is basically this kind of feeling of a show-off culture. So you see people posing in front of old cars or posing in front of a Lamborghini, smoking a cigar, something like this. And a similar thing, at least in my opinion, applies if you have your shirt too deep. Of course, you can unbutton this one, but you shouldn't go too deep in my opinion, because unless you're maybe on a boat or you're at the beach, it always looks a little bit too show-off. And especially if you're in a city scene and you're walking around with a shirt that's super deep, and that's not really a good look. And this is just one example. I prepared a couple of examples for you. So again, this one also, it's a little bit deeper than it should be in my opinion. And here's another example. This guy the same. He has a very deep shirt, pretty much almost to his belly button. Especially for the old money look, this just doesn't really fit right, because the old money look usually is a little bit more traditional, a little bit more subtle, and part of that is also not exposing half of your chest and half of your belly when you're walking around the city. But for some reason this seems to be a trend, because there's so many photos like this online. But in the end, just my humble opinion. So that was mistake number one, and let's stay with the same photos for mistake number two, and that's gonna be excessive jewelry. Because like I said, the old money style is usually a little bit more reserved, it's usually a little bit more subtle and traditional, because it is the way that rich families have been dressing and are still dressing, and usually they don't want to be too flashy. So you might see a really nice and expensive dress watch. The dress watch might be worth $500,000, but you won't really see a lot of excessive jewelry apart from the watch. And as you can see in these photos, and actually in a lot of the other photos as well, they are all wearing bracelets. They have a lot of different chains. This guy has very, very big chains as well. He's wearing a bracelet as well. And the same is true for pretty much every photo that I found. This guy wearing bracelets. He has a very big ring as well. He has a Louis Vuitton belt, which is already a no-go as well, but more on that later. And this guy, of course, the same. He has some chains. He has a deep shirt. And one thing that I want to make clear here is that I'm not necessarily critiquing their style in general. The only thing I'm saying is that all of these photos are uploaded under the hashtag or under the tag. Here you can see old money style guide. And in my opinion, this is not exactly old money style. And that's why we're talking about it. I'm not trying to critique them or talk bad about them in any way. This is just my opinion and my critique of their outfits in regards to old money style. And as you can see, most of them, this guy has some earrings. Of course, he has some rings as well, a bracelet as well. Most of these guys that you find, I mean, this is another story as well, but more on that later. They all have a lot of jewelry, and that's not the most classy thing at all. So this guy has a watch and a bracelet on the same wrist as well, another bracelet over here. And of course, he's smoking a cigar, but more on that later as well. And again, with this guy, he has a lot of chains. And in my opinion, not really old money style. Try to really minimize the amount of accessories we have and focus on having maybe a really nice dress watch, but not much more than that. Now we're getting to mistake number three, and we're staying with the same photo because there's actually another mistake in this, and that's the fact that many of these outfits are a little bit too fashionable. They're a little bit too modern, because like I said, the old money style is a little bit more traditional. It focuses more on timeless pieces and very elegant pieces. A lot of these outfits are more fashion pieces. So for example, if we look at the shirt that he's wearing, or also at the pants that flare out a bit at the bottom, this is something that you very commonly see in a lot of these outfits, because it's something that you can currently buy at a lot of stores, which is something that's in fashion at the moment. And it's not exactly what I would call the old money style, simply because the fit of the pants is usually a little bit different in the old money style. It's usually either straight or maybe slightly slim. It's not too wide or too baggy. Like you can see with many of these pants, they are usually a little bit too baggy, because that's what's trending right now. And that's why you see many of these guys wearing oversized sweaters, oversized pants. Let me show you a good example over here. So basically, as you can see here, this is a very currently trending sweater that you can get at Massimo Dutti or Zara or something like this. And of course, he has the jewelry as well. And it's a little bit too big in my opinion. And it looks too modern as well. It's just a little bit too fashionable. And of course, style does evolve over time. The way that people used to dress for the old money style in the 20s is not going to be exactly the same way that we dress nowadays. So the cuts, the fabrics, everything is going to be slightly different today. But for the old money style, it still errs more on the side of tradition and timelessness and not that much on fashion. And that's why this is another good example for this. I mean, these type of pants are really in fashion right now. This looks something that a lot of the young kids are wearing right now when you walk around Berlin, for example. And in my opinion, it doesn't really look like old money style at all. This guy is another good example because, as you can see, the shirt is also a little bit more of a modern style. The same is true with the pants. Again, they flare out a bit at the bottom. And the same is true for shoes as well. I mean, these type of shoes are definitely not old money shoes because they're these kind of modern loafer with a very thick sole. And it's something that you see very regularly on these photos. Let me show you, for example, right here. This guy is also wearing some pretty much exactly the same loafers with thick soles. And in my opinion, this is just, again, like I said, it's too modern. It doesn't really feel like a classic, timeless, old money style. And now that we're already talking about the shoes, if we take a look at this photo, for example, I think we can all agree that these type of sneakers are definitely not old money. When it comes to old money style, usually you think of shoes like loafers, maybe some dress shoes, maybe some very minimal sneakers, but definitely not these type of sneakers that we see in this picture right here. And then mistake number 4 is being overly flashy or overly try hard. The thing with the old money aesthetic, if it looks real, it looks very natural and very not forced. But if it looks more like a costume or you're trying too hard, then in my opinion, it doesn't really look like old money style. And that's one thing that you're going to see a lot on social media. I mean, the whole nature of social media already is a little bit staged because everything that people post on Instagram, for example, usually is more on the staged side, especially when it comes to fashion. But still, there's a lot of examples where, in my opinion, it's just a little bit too over the top. For example, this guy. It's also under old money style, but in my opinion, I mean, just the watch already, the way he walks and everything, it just looks a little bit too try hard. And the classic thing is, of course, smoking cigars, being in front of nice cars, in front of big houses. That's something, in my opinion, I always think of Instagram. It doesn't really remind me of an old money style, because usually if you're really from an old money family, for example, and you dress nice, then you probably don't flash your wealth all over social media. And in this case, I mean, social media is full of staged photos, so a lot of these photos, probably 80% of them, are very staged as well. So we have this guy here smoking a cigar. We already saw him earlier. And then we have these guys here. They're also under old money. And in my opinion, this is one of the other pictures like this, which just feels very staged. Because again, they're smoking a cigar. They're sitting in a restaurant or bar close to the river. They're having, of course, their button-down shirts in pink from Ralph Lauren. So in theory, I mean, a pink button-down shirt from Ralph Lauren and the chino pants could be considered the preppy look or Ivy look. And because of that, it's part of the old money style. But in my opinion, just the feeling that you get, it feels a little bit too try hard. It's just my opinion. You can let me know what you think in the comments below. But for the old money style, I think it should feel natural and authentic and not really forced. Because if you really like the style, then it's going to feel more natural to you. But if you're just doing it because it's a trend, then in the end, it's going to look more like a costume. Now that we covered the most common mistakes, let's look at a couple of really good examples for the old money style. For example, this guy right here, it's more of the Ivy look or the preppy look, but in my opinion, he's doing a very good job. So instead of sneakers, he's wearing some classic loafers, in this case tassel loafers. He has a nice pair of cotton trousers with a cuff at the bottom that are fitting him perfectly. So they're not too slim and they're not too baggy like you saw in the previous photos where the guys were wearing a lot of oversized pants and a lot of oversized shirts. And he's wearing a very nice blazer. He has a classic Ivy League tie and a button-down shirt. In general, in my opinion, it's a really, really nice look. And for other examples, I think Ralph Lauren and his personal style, he has a lot of really good examples for the old money look. If we take a look at this picture, he's wearing the classic tennis sweater, which is something that you see a lot on social media if you type in old money style. But the way he's doing it, it looks very natural, it looks casual, it's exactly the right fit for him, so it doesn't really feel forced. Because many of the photos that you see out there with the tennis sweaters, it just looks a little bit too staged and a little bit too forced. And here again we have Ralph Lauren with a very classic outfit, and this is something that could definitely be classified as old money style because he has a really beautiful double-breasted blazer, he has a nice pair of wool trousers, he has a pair of nice looking wool trousers, he wears a turtleneck. It's a slightly more casual outfit because of the turtleneck, and this is something that could definitely be classified as the old money look. And then I found also this one from Rice. In my opinion, this is also a really good look. It's a little bit more casual because he's wearing a turtleneck as well. He also wears a beautiful overcoat. It's definitely something that I could see myself wearing in wintertime, and I think it looks fantastic. It's not too fashionable. Also, his hair fits really well to the outfit. In general, I think it's a really, really good look. And then again, we have this style here from Pini Parma, and this is something that I think is great for the old money look if you're, for example, going on holiday. The pants are just absolutely beautiful. Then they have these nice yak loafers as well and a nice overshirt or safari jacket. It's a very casual vacation vibe, and the hair fits really well too. And even though it's a photo shoot, in my opinion, the entire look still looks very natural. And the same is true with this picture. I think this guy is impeccably dressed, very nice trousers, and he's also wearing a turtleneck again, which is another classic piece of the old money look. He has suede loafers, which again is something very common for the old money style, and he's not wearing these very thick and more modern looking loafers, but just a very classic and timeless penny loafer. And here we have Kazuto Yamoshita, and I think his outfit is also definitely old money. It looks very casual, it has something of an Ivy look as well. Beautiful sport jacket, a nice knitted tie, and the cream colored pants fit really well too. In my opinion, a very nice semi-casual outfit and definitely a really good look for the old money style. Because all of these outfits so far, they look and feel very natural. They have very neutral colors as well. You don't really see a lot of logos. Everything looks very minimal, but you can still tell that all of the clothes are of high quality. So which of the outfits was your favorites? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want to learn about the differences between the old money style and the quiet luxury look, then click on this video right here.